How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to another NHL 24 career simulation. Today, going through the career of the MVP of the 2024 World Junior Championships, Team Sweden's own Jonathan Lekkerimäki. Lekkerimaki had an outstanding tournament as he helped Team Sweden to the silver medal, 7 goals and 10 points through 7 games. He was tied for the tournament lead in goals as well. He had a great tournament. We saw more of his lethal shot, which is why he was drafted, and he's continuing to grow into a more and more impressive prospect, which is great news for the Vancouver Canucks. He was drafted 15th overall in the 2022 draft by Vancouver. Since then, he's been playing in Sweden, only getting better. This year in the SHL, through 24 games, he has 10 goals and 16 points. Really great pace considering that he's 19 years old especially. So now in the 2023-24 season, we know that he's staying in the SHL, but come 2024-25, will the Vancouver Canucks want to bring him over? Will he play in the NHL, maybe the AHL? When will he get his big break? And once he does get it, what kind of piece will he be for the Canucks franchise? That's what today's simulation will find out. Will he spend his entire career with Vancouver? Will he become that top 6 sniper, that goal scorer that he's shown himself to be capable of being? So Jonathan Lekkerimäki will start out as a 69 overall. The roster that we're using is the EA roster as of December 18th, so it was before any updates they might make after the World Juniors. So I boosted his potential from medium top 6 to high top 6. I thought that would be a fair adjustment without going too crazy for the simulation and trying, oh wow, medium elite. I thought high top 6 would be fair. I also boosted his shot accuracy just a little bit from 81-81 to 83-83. But aside from that, we're going by the EA rosters, not touching anything else. We're seeing what the game thinks that Lekkerimaki can become on the Vancouver Canucks squad as it is. Of course, things will change by time 2024-25 comes around, but we'll want to see what does the future hold for Lekkerimaki. So as always, I'm controlling a totally separate team. I have no control over the simulation, and we'll see what unfolds in Lekkerimaki's career. If you want to see other career simulations, check out the playlist in the top right corner. We've done many other prospects from the 2022 class: Slavkovsky, Nemec, Cooley, Wright, Cutter Gauthier, Jiricek, all those top picks, and many more, as this is our 25th career sim from NHL 20 to NHL 24. So if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out the playlist for many more. Leave a like if you enjoyed, as I love making these videos, but they do take many hours to create. So if you enjoy it, a like would be very much appreciated. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already for ongoing uploads here on the channel, mainly NHL 24, including, if you're a Canucks fan, our current NHL 24 Canucks franchise mode series. So with all that being said, we'll hop into year number 1 of Lekkerimaki's North American career, which will come in 2024-25, as, like I mentioned previously, we know that 2023-24 will be spent in Sweden. After a strong World Junior Championships and a full season in the SHL, Jonathan Lekkerimäki is ready for the AHL in year number 1. He's up to a 75 overall now at 20 years of age to begin 2024-25. As you can see with his attributes right here, they have seen some good growth, shooting at 4 stars, puck skills at 3 stars. He's playing on the second line here on the Vancouver Canucks farm team. Oman is his center with Klimovich on the left wing. A solid top 6 for the Abbotsford Canucks, and we'll see what Lekkerimäki can do in his first season. Ooh, a nice little slap in the face welcome to North America for Jonathan Lekkerimäki and the Abbotsford Canucks in year number 1, as they finished dead last in the AHL, 32nd place, with a record of 18, 44, and 10. No one really did well in Abbotsford, but Lekkerimäki did lead the team in goals with 23 goals and 39 points to be 4th in team scoring through 70 games played. He was a negative 20 with 6 power play points and averaged 17.53 of ice time per night. After his first year in North America, he has grown to a 77 overall, 4-star shooting, looking good. And we'll see if off-season growth will be enough to get him a spot on the NHL squad come year number 2. Great news to begin year number 2, as Lekkerimäki does indeed make the jump to the NHL, joining a strong Canucks squad. He'll play full-time third-line minutes, which is a great surprise, not getting buried in the lineup or anything. Also second-unit power play to supplement, and also second-unit power play to boot. On the third line, he's with Aatu Räty and Ilya Mikheyev. Now at 21 years of age, Lekkerimäki is up to an 80 overall with his 4-star shooting and puck skills. It was an ugly season in the AHL last year, but hopefully there'll be much more success for his rookie season in Vancouver. The Canucks looked fantastic in Lekkerimäki's rookie season as they finished second best in the NHL, atop the Western Conference and the Pacific Division. Most wins in the league as well, as they had a record of 56, 23, and 3. Lekkerimaki did well in a bottom six role as he scored 23 goals and 15 assists for 38 points through 75 games in his rookie season. He was also a plus 26 and had 9 power play points while averaging 12.22 of ice time per night. In Lekkerimaki's first taste of the postseason, it was a very disappointing loss as despite being the best in the West, the Canucks fell in 7 games in round number 1 to a familiar foe in the Chicago Blackhawks. Lekkerimaki just couldn't get anything going as he mustered only 1 assist through 7 games despite taking 15 shots, just couldn't get anything to go, all while averaging 12.04 of ice time per night. After his rookie season, Lekkerimaki has grown to an 82 overall, 4.5-star shooting. We'll see what kind of offseason growth he has and whether or not that may move him up in the lineup headed into a sophomore season. To begin year number 3, Lekkerimaki's second season in the NHL and the final year of his entry-level contract, he sees good growth up to an 84 overall. His line mates have also grown as Ratu's at an 86 and Mikheyev is an 85, so this should be a strong third line. Lekkerimaki at 22 years of age is up to an 84 overall with 5-star shooting, which is really great to see for his age, and 4-star puck skills to boot. It was a fantastic season for the Canucks in year number 3 as they finished atop the NHL with 125 points and a ridiculous record of 59, 16, and 7, also leading the league in goals for per game at 4.26 on average. Some ridiculous stat lines for the Canucks as they had 6 30-plus goal scorers. Jonathan Lekkerimäki benefited from the system as he scored 17 goals and 37 assists for 54 points in 77 games. He was a plus 17, added 12 power play points, and did all that while only averaging 12.37 of ice time per night. In the postseason, the Canucks got revenge on the Blackhawks as they took them down in 6 games in round number 1, but then fell in 5 games in round number 2 to the Oilers. Shout out to Quinn Hughes, who led the team in points and won the Hart, Ted Lindsay, and James Norris trophies. But Jonathan Lekkerimäki did look great through those 11 games. 9 points for him, 3 goals and 6 assists, while averaging 13.30 per night. At the end of his sophomore season in the NHL and his entry-level contract, he is an 84 overall, coming off of a fantastic season of progression. His attributes look great, and we'll see what kind of growth he'll continue to have over the 2027 offseason. Wow, great growth for Lekkerimaki over the offseason as he begins year number 3 as an 88 overall at 23 years of age. This is absolutely best case scenario for Lekkerimaki and the Canucks. Listed as a first line forward as an 88 overall. 5-star shooting and senses with everything else between 3.5 and 4.5 stars. Incredible attributes after a great season on the third line. Now we'll see how he does on the second line with JT Miller and Connor Garland, 2 players who had great seasons last year as well. Lekkerimaki signed a 3-year bridge deal as well to stay in Vancouver. $5.755 million per year, paying him just over $17 million through those 3 seasons. So we'll see if the Canucks can maximize the value that they get from him while he's on a cheaper contract, and whether or not they can repeat as President's Trophy winners. The Canucks are once again Pacific Division champs in year number 4 as they finish 4th in the NHL with a record of 51, 22, and 9. The Canucks roster continues to score at a ridiculous rate, and Lekkerimaki settled into the top 6 quite nicely. 19 goals and 49 assists for 68 points in his first full 82-game season. He was a +2, adding in 28 power play points, all while averaging 17.11 of ice time per night. Wow, more heartbreak for the Canucks in year number 4, as for the 3rd consecutive year they win their division or more, but still can't get past round number 2. This year even more embarrassing as they are the ultimate losers of the postseason, losing a heartbreaker in round number 1 to the Wild in 7, who lost to the Oilers, who lost to the Jets, who lost to the Panthers. Lekkerimaki did very well despite the heartbreak as he went above a point per game. 3 goals and 5 assists for 8 points through those 7 games in round number 1. He was a -4 as well while averaging 17.32 of ice time per night. After year number 4, Lekkerimaki has dropped back down to an 86 overall, now listed as a second line forward. But I would think that this should bounce back by the time we get to the beginning of year number 5. To begin year number 5, Lekkerimaki did not grow back in overall, but he did maintain his spot on the second line here with the Canucks. His line mates this season, JT Miller and Ratu. At an 86 overall, Lekkerimaki still has his 5-star shooting. So we'll see what both he and the Canucks can do this season, coming off of a very disappointing postseason exit. The Canucks don't win the division in year number 6, but they do finish in a very comfortable 7th place in the NHL with a record of 48, 27, and 7. A bit of an ugly season for Lekkerimaki considering what he did last year. He suited up for 80 games and scored 21 goals and 32 assists for 53 points. Add in the fact that he was a -18 though, 18 power play points. I suppose last year he was really boosted by the power play, all while averaging a bit of a reduced load at 16.39 per night on average. Things only get worse for the Canucks in the postseason, as for the second consecutive year, they are the ultimate losers of the postseason, this time by getting swept out of round number 1 by the Oilers, who lost to the Golden Knights, who lost to the Avalanche, who lost to the Rangers. Wow, Lekkerimaki held to just 1 point in that first round matchup, 1 goal in 4 games, a -3, he took 9 shots. Ugly stuff, while averaging 16-12 of ice time per night. At the end of year number 5, Lekkerimaki's overall drops once again, now down to an 85 overall. Still the 5-star shooting, but unfortunate to see everything else dropping down a little bit more. And headed into the final year of his bridge contract, he'll want a big bounce-back season in year number 6. Lekkerimaki sticks on the second line to begin year number 6, as he did not see any growth over the offseason and maintained an 85 overall status. He's playing on the second line with JT Miller, who's at an 84 now at 36 years of age, and an 82 overall prospect. Lekkerimaki at 85 still has his 5-star shooting and senses, but he's on the last year of his bridge contract that he signed a couple years ago. So with a ton of cap space going to Pettersson, Kuzmenko, Hughes, and Hronik, among other pieces, will Lekkerimaki play his final season here in Vancouver? Let's see if he can bounce back and show us what he gave us a taste of a couple years ago. Another strong regular season for the Canucks in year number 6, as they finished 5th in the NHL with a record of 48, 27, and 7. There's the Lekkerimaki that we know and love. Lekkerimaki puts up a new career high in goals, the most that he's scored since his rookie season, 29 goals and 34 assists for a 63-point season, suiting up in all 82 games. Major injury here to Quinn Hughes, as he scored 53 and 53, but missed a lot of time, thankfully healthy moving into the postseason. Lekkerimaki was also a +4 and added 12 power play points, while averaging still not a ton of ice time at an average of 17:46 per night. In the postseason, the Canucks finally made it out of round number 1 as they took down the Sharks in 6 games, but for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, they fell to the Edmonton Oilers, this time in a 7-game series in round number 2. Back-to-back postseasons of Lekkerimaki scoring only 1 goal, but this time he added 9 assists, 10 points in 13 games for the Swede. He was a -2 through the postseason and was averaging 18.55, a nice increase in ice time per night. Headed into the 2030 offseason, Lekkerimaki is still at an 85 overall and will be due for another contract. You would think that it's not the craziest deal because of his overall and his production, but as I mentioned previously, the Canucks have a lot to figure out cap-wise, so see what the 2030 offseason has in store. Great news for Lekkerimaki in year number 7, as he will now be playing on the top line in Vancouver, and he has a brand new contract, a 5-year deal paying him $7.41 million per year, just over $37 million to stick with the Canucks. And he'll be very excited to be playing first line minutes with Elias Pettersson and Aatu Räty, so fingers crossed for big things for Lekkerimaki in this 7th season, as he's now an 86 overall. Wow, the Canucks continue to dominate in the regular season as they win another President's Trophy here in 2031, finishing atop the NHL with a record of 53, 24, and 5. Lekkerimaki didn't set any new career highs, but he did thrive with first-line minutes as he scored 23 goals and 38 assists for 61 points in a fully healthy 82-game season, back-to-back fully healthy seasons for the first time in his career. He was a +9 with 10 power play points while averaging a career high 20-10 of ice time per night. Despite another President's Trophy win, the Canucks still couldn't make it out of round number 2, as in the 2031 postseason, they beat the Stars in 5 games in round number 1, but then fell in 5 games themselves in round number 2, at least this time to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. Lekkerimaki did well compared to his teammates, but nothing too flashy. 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points in 10 postseason games. He was a +6 and was averaging 21.06 of ice time per night. At the end of year number 7, Lekkerimaki maintains an 86 overall status and will head into year number 8, hoping to maintain his spot on the first line. Over the offseason, headed into year number 8, the Canucks brought in Joakim Kemell, which has bumped Lekkerimaki off of the first line. He'll play second line with Jaskin and Dorofeyev, which is not as ideal. He's still an 86 overall, now at 27 years of age, which means that his potential has now become exact top 6. Attributes still look great. He's still getting first unit power play time. Let's see what he can do. No President's Trophy for the Canucks in year number 8, but once again, champions of the Pacific Division, winning 55 games and going second best in the NHL. 55, 25, and 2 was their record. Lekkerimaki finished with 19 goals and 48 assists for 67 points in 75 games, 1 assist and 1 point shy of tying career highs in those categories. Also, 67 and 75 is a new career high for point pace, as he would have had 73 over an 82-game season. He was also +18 and added 14 power play points, while only playing 17.35 of ice time per night. Oh my goodness, another year, another second round exit for the Canucks as they swept the Oilers in round number 1, but then got swept themselves by the Sharks in round number 2. The Sharks went on to lose to the Avalanche, who then lost to the Lightning. In those 8 games, Lekkerimaki scored just 1 goal but added 4 assists for 5 points, while also being a -1 and averaging 17.02 of ice time per night. Through his 7 NHL seasons so far, he is still yet to see the outside of round number 2. The Canucks have lost in round number 2 for 3 consecutive years now, but headed into year number 9, Lekkerimaki is up to an 87 overall, and for the first time in his career has a superstar ability X factor. It's tricky because he has great trick shooting. To begin year number 9, Lekkerimaki maintains his 87 overall status and his It's Tricky X Factor. Still on the second line here in Vancouver, but new line mates with Hanzik and Beckman. At 28 years of age and coming off of a career-high point pace, let's see what Lekkerimaki can do for his 8th NHL season. Another top 10 finish for the Canucks in year number 9 as they finish 9th best in the NHL with a record of 48, 34, and 0. Lekkerimaki continues to show that he may be a consistent 60-point guy in the NHL as he scores 27 goals and 34 assists for a 61-point season in a fully healthy 82 games played. He was a -11, only had 1 minor penalty, and also led the team in power play points with 17, all while averaging 17.46 of ice time per night. But nothing new in the 2033 postseason as the Canucks fall in the second round for the 4th consecutive year. After taking down Vegas in 6 games in round number 1, they lose in 5 to the Ducks in round number 2. For the first time in his career, Jonathan Lekkerimäki leads his team in postseason scoring as he scored 3 goals and 7 assists for 10 points through 11 games. Well done. He was also a +1 and took that 1 minor penalty, all while averaging 17.33 of ice time per night. At the end of year number 9, Lekkerimaki is back down to an 86 overall, but as always maintains his 5-star shooting. Year number 10, and Jonathan Lekkerimäki is still on the second line here in Vancouver. His line mates this season will be Jaskin and Beckman. Shout out to Adam Fantilli, who has joined the squad as well. Lekkerimäki, at 29 years of age, is at an 86 overall to start year number 10, his 9th NHL season. He has scored 61 points or more in 4 consecutive seasons now, so let's see if he can go for 5. No surprises here in year number 10 as the Canucks continue to dominate in the regular season, finishing 2nd best in the NHL with 100 points and a record of 45, 27, and 10. Mr. Consistency strikes again as Lekkerimaki scores 28 goals and 35 assists for a 63-point season in 81 games. It's the first time in his career that he scores 25 goals or more in consecutive seasons. He was also at -6 and added 8 power play points while averaging an increased ice time a little bit there at 18.25 per night. It only took 9 tries, but in the 2034 postseason, the Canucks finally made it out of round number 2 as they took down the Ducks in 6 in round number 1, took down the Oilers in 7 in round number 2, but then fell themselves in 7 to the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Final. Almost a 1994 Stanley Cup final rematch against the Rangers. In those 20 games, the longest postseason run of his career, Jonathan Lekkerimäki scored 7 goals and 13 assists, 20 points. He was point per game, a +2, 6 penalty minutes, all while averaging 21.18 of ice time per night, so an increased role for him. At the end of year number 10, Lekkerimäki has finally seen a Western Conference final, and at 29 years of age is an 86 overall, headed into the final year of his contract next season. Strap in for what may be a very exciting year number 11 for Lekkerimäki as he is back on the first line in Vancouver for his 10th NHL season with Elias Pettersson and Adam Fantilli as his line mates. This could be explosive. The 86 overall is now 30 years of age and has scored 61 points or more in 5 consecutive seasons. A big year for him as it's the final year of his contract before unrestricted free agency, so we'll see what happens here in 2034-35. Another top finish for the Canucks in year number 11 as they finished 3rd best in the NHL with 105 points and a record of 49, 26, and 7. Another great 60-point season from Lekkerimaki, but unfortunately not as much as it likely could have been had Elias Pettersson not been injured. Pettersson was out almost half the season. He had scored 43 points in 45 games, so unfortunate that he was out. But regardless, Lekkerimaki still registered 22 goals and 38 assists for 60 points in 77 games, a 64-point pace. He was a +11 and added 8 power play points, all while averaging 1 second shy of 20 minutes of ice time per night. In the postseason, the Canucks were back to their old habits as they suffered another early exit. This year, a first-round loss in 7 games against the Ducks, the first time they didn't make it out of round number 1 in 6 years. It looks like Lekkerimaki suffered a minor injury as he only appeared in 5 out of 7 games, and in those games he scored 3 goals and 1 assist for 4 points, while being a -4 and averaging 18.41 of ice time per night. At the end of his 10th NHL season here in Vancouver, Lekkerimaki is an 86 overall. He has seen 10 consecutive postseason berths. Aside from that, he's a consistent 60-plus point scorer on a very good regular season team, just a squad that can't seem to get it done in the postseason. So with his contract up and potentially hitting unrestricted free agency, we'll see what the 2035 offseason has in store. To begin year number 12, Jonathan Lekkerimäki has decided to stick it out in Vancouver a little while longer. He signed a 4-year extension, paying him $8.62 million per year, paying him just around $34.5 million. But it seems as though he was just about the only Canucks player that Vancouver is able to hang on to, as both Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes are both no longer here to begin 2035-36. A very different looking team, low overall players in the lineup, not the greatest team on paper anymore. Lekkerimäki is first line right wing with the Canucks. Adam Fantilli is his centerman, and Andrew Crystal is on the left as an 81 overall. So the team looks a lot weaker, I do have to admit. At 31 years of age, Lekkerimäki at an 86 overall is still as good as ever when it comes to his attributes, but will he be able to keep up his streak of postseason berths and of 60-plus points? As expected, year number 12 was a big step back for the Canucks, as for the first time in Lekkerimäki's career, he misses the postseason. Only took 11 NHL years, but this is the one. The Canucks finished 27th in the NHL with no Hughes and no Pettersson, going 31, 38, and 12, and scoring the fewest amount of goals for in the NHL. Wow! The added responsibility did wonders for Jonathan Lekkerimäki, as he scored a new career high by far, smashing his previous high of 29 goals. 46 goals and 38 assists for an 84-point season, tying for the team lead in points, above point per game, and a new career high, beating his previous high of 68, all done in 79 games played. He was also a +9, 18 penalty minutes, 21 power play points, new career high there as well, I believe, and a career high 20.49 of average ice time per night. At the end of year number 12, Lekkerimäki is still at an 86 overall. The attributes still look the same, but on the first year of that big extension, with a ton of added responsibility to his plate, he delivers. No postseason berth, but hopefully this will be a year to build on. After hitting career highs in year number 12, Lekkerimäki begins year number 13 up at an 87 overall, and new superstar abilities as he now has wheels, make it snappy, and third eye. 4 superstar abilities for the Swede. New line mates as well, Fantilli up to 90 overall, but Stéphane Leblond, who the Canucks got with a 5th overall pick, their first time drafting in the top 10 since they've had the 10 consecutive postseason berths, so hopefully that one season of missing will be worth it, and they can get back on the horse here in year number 13. Lekkerimäki looks great, he's listed as a first-line forward, 2036-37, let's hit it. After taking a year off, the Canucks have reloaded for year number 13, finishing atop the Western Conference and second best in the NHL after finishing 27th last year, 108 points and a record of 52, 26, and 4. It was a big playmaking season for Lekkerimäki as he hit a new career high in assists, 20 goals and 56 assists for a 76-point season in 80 games played. Also a new career high in plus-minus at +29, and a career high in penalty minutes at 32. Add in 16 power play points, all while averaging 20.07 of ice time per night. Shout out to Stéphane Leblond, who had a 50-goal rookie season, as Lekkerimäki seemed to have been playmaking for him. But you didn't get your hopes up, did you? I hope not, because in the 2037 postseason, the Canucks once again fall in round number 1, this time at the hands of the St. Louis Blues in 6 games. Lekkerimäki did lead the team in points, though, as he scored 2 goals and 6 assists for 8 points through those 6 games. He was a +1 and also averaged 20.53 of ice time per night. At the end of year number 13, Lekkerimäki is coming off of one of the best seasons of his career, but he has dropped down to an 83 overall. That's actually really surprising. He's also lost a couple of his superstar abilities. He now just has wheels and make it snappy. I'm pretty surprised that he's dropped so much after a couple of his strongest seasons yet, but we'll see if he can bounce back a little bit in the 2037 offseason. To begin year number 14, Lekkerimäki sticks at an 83 overall, but is still in the first line here in Vancouver. New first line center in Jeremy Palmieri. He had a big year last year. He's a 5-star sniper. And you got Leblond up to an 87, also a 5-star shooter. So it'll be another big playmaking season for Lekkerimäki. At an 83 overall, his puck skills have dropped to 3.5 stars, which is the biggest drop, I think. Shooting also at 4.5. But overall isn't everything. So let's see if Lekkerimäki can keep up the pace that he's been on as of late for year number 14. The Canucks keep rolling with yet another top 5 finish in year number 14 as they finish 4th best in the NHL with a record of 53, 26, and 3. Sheesh, as expected, the playmaking continues for Jonathan Lekkerimäki on that top line. A fully healthy 82-game season for the first time in a little while, and in it he scores 25 goals and 58 assists, a new career high there for an 83-point season, all while being a +12, adding 16 power play points, and averaging 20.53 of ice time per night. Oh boy, but in the 2038 postseason, the Canucks fall in round number 1 for the third consecutive time, this year in a 7-game heartbreaker against the Seattle Kraken. I can't remember the last time I saw bad luck to that extent, but in that 7-game series, Lekkerimaki scored 3 goals and 2 assists for 5 points, even plus minus, no penalties, while averaging a large 22-10 of ice time per night. I forgot to mention at the start of this season that Lekkerimaki had dropped to top 9 potential, but that's alright. He bounced back from an 83 to an 85 overall, and he'll be hoping to maintain that as he's heading into the final year of his contract in 2038-39. Year number 15, Lekkerimäki's 14th NHL season and year with the Canucks, now at 34 years of age. He maintains the 85 overall that he grew to over the course of last season. Great news. Second line forward with top 9 potential. The attributes are holding nicely. He still has those 2 superstar abilities. He's playing first line with Palmieri and LeBlanc. He's been having good success in this position. It is the final year of his contract, so we'll see if it's a year in which the Canucks can finally go on a run before Lekkerimaki may have to consider other options if he wants a Stanley Cup before retiring. Another top 10 finish for the Canucks in year number 15 as they finish 9th best in the NHL with a record of 44, 32, and 6. Jonathan Lekkerimäki sets a new career high in assists in consecutive years and also a new career high in points at 34 years of age. 27 goals and 59 assists for 86 points in a fully healthy 82-game season, aging like the finest of wine. Also a new career high at plus 35 while only getting 7 penalty minutes, add in 15 power play points, all while averaging 20-16 of ice time per night, headed into what is set to be a very important postseason. And in the 2039 postseason, the Canucks finally make it out of round number 1 as they defeat the Oilers in 5 games, but then of course fall in 6 games in round number 2 to the Vegas Golden Knights. In what may have been Lekkerimäki's final postseason as a Canuck, he scored 6 goals and 7 assists for 13 points in 11 games. He was a -2, took no penalties, all while averaging 20.02 of ice time per night. At 34 years of age, Lekkerimaki has dropped back down to an 84 overall. He only has 1 X factor left at the Wheels superstar ability. He's still an elite talent in the NHL, especially considering his age, but is it time to say that enough is enough after only making it to the Western Conference Final once in the last 13 postseason berths? In the 2039 offseason, Lekkerimaki decides to re-sign with Vancouver for 2 more years, $8.52 million per year, paying him just over $17 million to stick around with the Canucks. You would think he's probably the captain at this point. He's been here for what is now going to be his 15th NHL season. He's been bumped down to the second line to play with his old buddy Adam Fantilli and this guy Spencer Yannick, an 85 overall power forward, 5-star shooting. At 35 years of age, as I mentioned, 84 overall, now with bottom 6 potential, so if he doesn't put up good numbers, that overall will drop quite quickly. Still 4.5-star shooting and coming off of career high numbers, so 2039-40, here we go. Another Pacific Division championship for the Canucks in 2040 as they finish 5th best in the NHL with a record of 49, 29, and 4. Lekkerimaki continues to put up the points as he scores 21 goals and 57 assists for a 78-point season in a fully healthy 82-game campaign, a 3rd consecutive fully healthy season for just the first time in his career, a plus 11 with 16 penalty minutes and 24 power play points, all while averaging only 17-10 of ice time per night. But nothing new to say in the postseason, as the Canucks win round number 1 in 5 games against the Predators, but then fall once again to the Vegas Golden Knights in round number 2 in 5 games. Lekkerimaki had a very difficult postseason as he appeared in 9 out of 10 games, only scoring 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points and being a -5 as well, while averaging a reduced 15.43 of ice time per night. Now at 35 years of age, he has dropped to an 80 overall. He's lost his final superstar ability, no more X factors, listed as a 3rd line checking forward with bottom 6 potential. Still the 4.5-star shooting, but everything else is dropping quite a bit. 79 passing as well with the 3-star puck skills. Heading into the final year of his contract, possibly the final year of his career, you gotta hope that the Canucks will do something to surround him as well as possible. Okay, to begin year number 17, Lekkerimaki finds himself on the 4th line in Vancouver. At 36 years of age, he's down at an 80 overall with AHL top 6 potential. I believe all of his attributes are the same as at the end of last season. It's the final year of his contract, no more X factors. 4th line plus 2nd unit power play time. He has a 77 and a 78 overall as his line mates. He's still been able to produce well, but in such a reduced role, we'll see what he can do. Also 5 points shy of 1,000, so it's a big year in year number 17. In year number 17, the Canucks just squeak into the postseason with the last spot in the West. The first time they make it with such a tight margin. 16th best in the NHL with a record of 41, 33, and 8 to keep their streak alive. Shout out to the Red Wings who finished 12th in the NHL but missed out on the postseason as the Devils in 22nd made it. Lekkerimaki played in all 82 games but put up career lows in goals and points down there on the fourth line. 11 goals and 26 assists for 37 points, a -2 with 8 penalty minutes and 10 power play points while averaging an understandably low 9 minutes and 11 seconds per night. But the Canucks show no passion in the 2041 postseason as they are the ultimate losers, dropping in round number 1 in 5 games to the Predators, who lost to the Blackhawks, who lost to the Golden Knights, who lost to the Senators. At the end of year number 17, Lekkerimaki is down to a 78 overall, listed as depth forward with AHL top 6 potential. Still the 4-star shooting, but everything else between 2.5 and 3.5 stars. He has no contract heading into the 2041 offseason, but I think he could still produce in any team's top 9, so we'll see if he wants to come back for another year somewhere in the NHL, or if he's ready to call it after 17 years in North America. In the 2041 offseason, Lekkerimaki says, no doubt about it, I am ready to get hurt again, as he signs a 2-year extension with the Canucks. Honestly, I'd be surprised if he plays more than 1 more year. $1.16 million per season, paying him just $2.32. He's now down to a 77 overall, listed as a depth forward with AHL top 6 potential. Still the 4-star shooting, but everything else down to between 2.5 and 3.5 stars. On the fourth line, he's now been reunited with his old buddy Adam Fantilli and this guy Lepisto on the left wing. He produced last year on the fourth line. Let's see if he can do it again, this time hopefully being carried by the rest of his team. The Canucks rally behind Lekkerimaki in year number 18 as they finish 7th best in the NHL, atop the Western Conference, crazy strong Eastern Conference this year, with a record of 47, 26, and 9 to return to the postseason once again. Lekkerimaki does what he can playing in reduced roles. He scores 13 goals and 16 assists for 29 points, playing 80 games on the fourth line, even plus minus, only 6 penalty minutes, 5 power play points, all while averaging just 9:32 of ice time per night, headed into the 2042 postseason. In the postseason, the Canucks have a better showing than the year prior as they take down the Oilers in round number 1 in 7 games, but then fall in 7 in round number 2 to the Seattle Kraken. I had to go to the contract screen to find Lekkerimaki's stats as he's been sent down now after the season, but he only appeared in 1 game in the postseason. Scoreless, a +1, taking 2 shots, and logging 7:28 of ice time in that 1 game. At 37 years of age, headed into the 2042 offseason, Lekkerimaki is now down to a 74 overall, listed as an other forward. Still the 4-star shooting, but everything else down to between 2 and 3 stars. He signed on for 1 more year, but you gotta think that this is likely the end for Lekkerimaki. And in the 2042 offseason, Jonathan Lekkerimäki does indeed decide to call it a career after 18 seasons in North America, retiring having played 1,361 NHL games, scoring 391 goals and 670 assists for a very lovely 1,061 points. I love that this career simulation didn't have him scoring 100 points every season. He started off slow, was super consistent in his prime, and ended off his last couple of years in a reduced role with reduced points, not scoring 80, 90 points from 20 to 40 years of age. That being said, let's break down the career numbers for Jonathan Lekkerimäki, retiring at 37 years of age after 17 NHL seasons. When it came to the games played, usually an 80-plus game guy, pretty consistent in that regard. For the goal scoring, although he was a sniper, he only scored that crazy 146-goal season, never more than 30 any other time in his career, usually in that 25-ish range. We'll see all the total numbers at the end and the 82 game averages at the end of this. But yeah, not as much of a sniper as we thought he might be. He was more of a playmaker as he had 4 seasons of 56 assists or more. He found his spot in the lineup, playmaking for some of those big names in Vancouver, and he thrived, especially when it came to the point totals here, as he had 3 point-per-game plus seasons of 83 points or more, his most being 86 points. His plus-minus ended at a plus 145 in his career, his best being plus 35, his worst being negative 18 in the NHL. Only 203 penalty minutes. He was very disciplined out there, as few as just 1 minor penalty and as many as 32 penalty minutes. He took over 3,600 shots, shooting at a percentage of 10.6. 51 of his goals were game winners, 82 on the power play, 243 of his points came on the power play as well. No shorthanded points in his career, averaging only 16.59 of ice time in his career as well, as high as 2053, and his low as 9 minutes 11 seconds on the fourth line, of course. But yeah, never a huge ice time guy. Played over 23,100 minutes in the NHL. He didn't take too many faceoffs, but when he did, he was 40.77% on the dot. 875 hits, one season of 126, but usually well below 100. 273 blocked shots as well. 682 giveaways to 1,301 takeaways. So that's a great ratio right there. Tons of value as a regular season player. If we look at the postseason now, I don't got to tell you that it's crazy to see that he only played 135 postseason games despite having 17 postseason berths. In 135 postseason games, he scored 36 goals and 68 assists for 104 points. He was a -7 with 16 penalty minutes. Very little. That's crazy. Shooting at 9.1%, so lower than his regular season numbers. 4 of his goals were game winners, 9 on the power play, 27 of his points on the power play as well. None shorthanded, averaging 18.03 per night. A bit lower on the faceoff dot. 99 hits, 42 blocks, 76 giveaways to 125 takeaways, so not as good of a ratio in the postseason, I will admit. And as always, the world will look very different come 2042, but if we took Lekkerimäki's career numbers and compared them to the present-day NHL in 2024, his 1,361 games played would put him 54th all-time, behind Jeremy Roenick and ahead of Ron Stewart. His 391 goals would put him around 117th all-time, tying him with some big names, Brad Marchand at time of recording, as well as Jean Pronovost, Martin Saint-Louis, and Dean Prentice. His 670 assists would put him 70th all-time, behind Jerome McGinley and ahead of Brett Hull. And his 1,061 points would put him 76th all-time, behind Pat Verbeek and ahead of Denis Potvin. And again, just to say, despite 17 postseason berths, Lekkerimäki would be well over 150th all-time for postseason games played. And finally, looking at Canucks franchise records, Lekkerimäki didn't get any single season, single game, or rookie record, but he does retire having tied the Sedin twins at most seasons played with 17, and he does retire as the all-time leader in games played as a Vancouver Canuck, as his entire 1,361 game career was spent in Vancouver, surpassing the previous franchise record held by Henrik Sedin by 31 games. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the career of Jonathan Lekkerimäki, 20 years from draft to retirement. Let's start breaking it all down. Drafted in 2022, he spent 2 more years overseas in Sweden before coming to the AHL to play for the Canucks farm team. In that one season, he scored 23 goals and 16 assists for 39 points in 70 games. He was then promoted to the Canucks squad to make his NHL debut in 2025-26, and from there, he never looked back, retiring with 1,361 games played, all as a Canuck, scoring 391 goals and 670 assists for 1,061 points. Over an 82-game career average, that gives him 24 goals and 40 assists for 64 points per 82 games. In the postseason, he also played 135 games over 16 postseason appearances, 36 goals and 68 assists for 104 points. When it comes to his career honors, Lekkerimäki retires as the Canucks franchise leader in regular season games played, postseason games played, and postseason points. He's also tied for the most seasons played in Canucks history as well. And don't forget that 94.1% postseason rate, 16 appearances over 17 seasons. Over those 16 appearances, don't forget 10 consecutive appearances, 1 miss, then 6 more consecutive appearances, 7 first-round exits, 8 second-round exits, and just 1 Western Conference final. Never even a Stanley Cup final for poor Jonathan Lekkerimäki. But not too poor, as he made just about $110 million over those 18 North American years. And you would have to think that he's content going down as one of the greatest Canucks in all time. He stuck with the sinking ship, even when they had regular season success and President's Trophy after President's Trophy, Pacific Division after Pacific Division. They could never get it done, but he stuck with the team. Likely the captain for many seasons as well, and he stuck it out to the end. Very rare. This is our 25th career simulation from NHL 20 to NHL 24. And I think there's only been 1 or 2 other simulations where we've seen a player stick with one team for their entire career. So hats off to you, Mr. Lekkerimäki. But that just about does it for me, everyone. Leave a like if you enjoyed the simulation, and of course, as always, leave all your thoughts down here in the YouTube comments or over on the Discord server, link in the description. What do you think about this simulation? Were there elements that were realistic? Could Lekkerimäki have a career that looks like this? Will he be better? Will he be worse? And of course, whose career do you want to see simulated next? So be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on that or any other uploads here on the channel. NHL 24 franchise mode and much more, as a subscription will deliver over 150 videos to you this year, and the channel will be that much better with you as a part of it. So thank you once again for taking the time to watch, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping to see you once again in the next one as we simulate another career.